Well, we have reached Adel Fahmy. That is Mohamed Fahmy's brother. He is on the phone from Cairo. Adel, first off, I want to ask you, what is your reaction to the news about this retrial date?
We are completely shocked because we had our bags packed. His fiancée had quit her job. He was ready to go. We kept getting messages from the Canadian government saying it's an imminent release. Our lawyer, Amal Clooney, spoke to the Canadian ambassador last night for an hour, and he was telling us it's assurances 100% from the highest, government officials. And ourselves, even the Egyptians, some of the Egyptians were telling us that, it's a done deal. It's just a matter of hours, days. And today, when I heard the news, I heard it from the television. I was actually at the prosecutor's office trying to figure out why it has not been implemented yet. And we don't know what to do right now because he has to face a retrial and he has to go through all this process again. And it's just not acceptable in any way. We had requested from Mr. Harper for months and months that he intervenes personally to make a phone call and speak to the Egyptian president to expedite the process. Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, Canadian lawyers, Canadian media. Fahmy himself had issued a statement calling for Prime Minister Harper to intervene. Peter Greste, Mohamed's colleague who was transferred to Australia and pardoned, the Australian government, the Prime Minister had called President Sisi at least 3 times, and they have done an outstanding job in supporting their citizens. And we don't understand why the Canadian Prime Minister did not do a similar initiative.
Mm-hmm. So how do you feel about the Canadian government's handling of your brother's case?
No, we're shocked. We're really shocked because we know the consular team here are doing their best, yet it seems that they're not talking to the right people. Mm-hmm. This kind of delicate situation requires that the most senior officials in Canada intervene personally, and that the ground staff here speaks to the highest authority here, because mm-hmm. It's a very sensitive situation. And my brother dropped his Egyptian nationality in order to benefit from the decree, but he never requested that. The authorities here visited him and told him, your only way out is to drop your citizenship so you and Peter can get out of this case. And then accordingly, we were informing the Canadian government hour by hour what was happening, that my brother has dropped his citizenship, that they have told him this, they have told him that, he has signed the documents, and he is now, on paper, fully Canadian, if I may use that term. We are a family that respects the values of the 2 constitutions. We grew up in Egypt and Canada. We, embrace all kinds of values that represent the 2 countries. And to be stripped of your nationality and placed in that position, it's either jail or your nationality, it wasn't easy for him. It was very, very stressful. And then suddenly he finds himself in a cage again in court. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and without question, this has been such a difficult situation for your brother and your entire family. I do want to read you a statement, Adel, that we did get from the Canadian government today. It was from the Minister of State, Foreign Affairs and Consular Affairs, saying that Canada is deeply concerned with the announcement that a retrial date has been set, despite assurances that Mr. Fahmy would be released, along with his colleague Peter Greste. Canada calls for the immediate release of Mr. Fahmy. How do you react to that statement?
Canada calls for the immediate release. That's not going to happen because Fahmy is in the jurisdiction of the court. Deeply concerned has been that, diplomatic terms the Canadian government has been using. The Americans don't even have a defendant in this case. And when the verdict was announced, they said it was a draconian verdict. The Canadians were there in every single hearing, and they know my brother is an award-winning journalist. There was not a shred of evidence, and still they were using terms like deeply concerned, and it's a positive development, and it's a fruitful conversation. But in reality, none of this was making any difference. It's just diplomatic rhetoric, and we're not finger pointing here, and we know who put my brother behind bars. It's not the Canadians, it's the Egyptians, but we had a golden opportunity to release him from prison, and the Canadian government could have pushed more and done a more aggressive approach, especially that we have support from, we had 50,000 Canadians sign a petition for my brother's release. We've had the Canadian support of the media. We've had great support from protesters across the world. And now my brother has to go through a circus of a retrial again. It's just unbearable. My mother is devastated. We are devastated. And we literally had our bags packed. We had a press conference room in Toronto booked for when my brother arrives, so that Ms. Amal Clooney and him can start a press conference to highlight and celebrate his freedom.
Yeah, no question. Incredibly frustrating situation. Adel, I want to ask you, going back to when we had heard that your brother's release was imminent, was what we kept hearing and what you kept hearing. Do you have any sense of what went wrong?
No, we don't have any sense of what went wrong whatsoever. We went to the Canadians asking them, what is going on? Why is he not out? We went to the Egyptians saying that, and the Egyptians were telling us that, it's going to happen. It could happen any hour, any day, and the Canadians were saying the same thing. And it seems that the prosecutor didn't sign off on it. While the presidency was very excited to get rid of my brother, Mr. Baird called him the only irritant between Canada and Egypt, and
Yeah.
obviously.
It's a tough situation. It's such a tough situation, Adel, for you, your family, your brother, everyone. Do you have any sense at this point what your next steps are?
Our next step is to start planning our defense again, and hope we can that he will be vindicated. And we have to fight on and continue to fight this battle. And my brother considers it a battle against freedom of press, and he will continue to fight. We have no other choice.
Well, Adel, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us.
We need your support. We need the support of the media. That's what makes it help.
Yeah, and getting your brother's story out there has certainly, I think, been a priority for a number of media organizations in Canada. Again, I think Canadians are with you and can hear your frustration and how difficult this is for you and your entire family, and especially your brother. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us.
Your channel has been great supporters. Thank you very much.